Merry Christmas, everybody. That too soon? Okay, it's too soon. Anyway, good morning. Happy December, everybody. Got a Monday is here again. Got a fresh week, fresh month, and we're gonna that's a new chance to have another green month. So, all right, getting started today with the pre-market insight. Um, as far as what we have scheduled today on the economic outlook, all we got is the PMI. However, this is going to be a pretty busy week. We got a lot of Fed things going on, and then there's the trade talk between the U.S. and China. That story is still going on, so it should be a pretty busy week. You can definitely expect a lot of volatility and a lot of irrational, above normal irrational price action. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the technical analysis. And across the board, we have gap ups everywhere. Like there's, this could be the beginning of the Santa rally. You hear a lot of seasoned traders talking about the Santa rally. Um, so with this gap up that we're seeing, you can see here in Nasdaq that we have a pretty strong gap up that more than likely will be filled. There's a good, at least a 90, I would say a 98% chance that at some point we will fill this gap because futures don't really gap up and keep the gap that especially gaps like this. Futures, and you can see we're gapping up right into the what is this? Right into the 200 moving average. So um, there's at some point pretty soon we will fill this gap, being that that's the futures market. And like I said before, futures market their futures do not, they tend not to keep their gaps for long. So as far as the strength, with all this gapping up, of course that means we have a lot of action, a lot of strong volume in the market. So pretty much everything on my watch list. My watch list, I track the Nasdaq. You can look at everything highlighted here minus the Russell. So you see all my red flags here. I track the Nasdaq, crude oil, and gold, and the Euro forex. So all of these are pretty much above 100. Right now, crude oil is at 200, and they had 250K of volume. The Euro forex is at 101K of volume. And then gold and Nasdaq are not too far behind, both of them sitting at 98K of volume. So it's definitely a strong day to start off this week. All right, and so let's look at the Nasdaq on the daily chart. Okay, like I said before, you see on the daily we got this nice little gap up, gapping into the 200 moving average. You see right now, if we go to the 5 minute, we are pulling back a little bit. We're having a little bit of retracement, and on this mouse, and this there's a good chance. Let me go ahead and mark this area out right here where we opened that. There's a good chance we end up trading back down into the open and filling that gap today. Um, that's 50-50 on that. It doesn't have to fill the gap today. It can fill the gap another day. But right now we're seeing a lot of resistance. You can see these wicks here. We're seeing a lot of resistance up here in this. This would be around the 200 daily moving average, around the 7132 area, between 7132 and 7136. There's a lot of resistance, heavy resistance there. So there's a good chance we will come back over. We traded that back down into some support, and I wouldn't be surprised leading up into the bell to see some rest, a little resting pattern, or maybe we can have some more sell off. Um, before we continue lower, I would expect for it to trade up a little bit. Have a little bit more of retracement from this short-term bearish pattern. It kind of retests this area up here, and then continue lower. If we do continue lower, all right. So that's the Nasdaq. Um, Going over to crude oil. Again, strong volume, and we are also gapping up. So on the daily, so the same thing. I would expect to see we can either fill this gap today. It's pretty much the same as Nasdaq. We would expect to. I would expect to see us fill the gap, or maybe we trade whatever we do today, the following days at some point. Today we could keep going a little bit higher, but then at some point we'll roll over, retest that gap, and then the market will decide if it wants to um, roll back higher, or if we want to keep trading in a range, or if we want to, if it fails to maintain that support and trade down, continue that overall bearish move. However, since we have this significantly strong move here, um, I wouldn't expect, if we do turn over and start going bullish, I wouldn't expect it to trade bullish, too strong. It would be if we do trade bullish, I would say, um, will we slowly climb higher, maybe even have a good bit of consolidation to close out the year. And then at that point, we would definitely be looking at, day trading would be the favorable way to trade crude oil if that's the case. But that support that we drew down here, I don't know how it got moved, but it's that's still pretty strong. So right now on the 5 minute, we are it's pretty much the same as the Nasdaq. We are trading bearish at the moment. Let's zoom out a little bit. You see, we having some retracement. We haven't, of course, we haven't retraced the full move yet, but we found a little support here. But we have a lot of wicks in this area here, so there's a lot of indecision, a lot of resting from all of the trading earlier, and it's pretty much we can do anything. We can continue going bearish, but at some point I do expect for it to fill this gap. All right, so that's crude oil. As far as gold, all right, let's look at. We also gapping up. This gap isn't as strong, and gold is the same thing. Gold futures are the same as every other futures. Um, there's a good chance we do fill this gap. Um, people, if anybody held over the weekend, so what they'll be thinking, this goes for everything. What they would be thinking if they were holding over the weekend, they would wake up this morning or whatever to see, or it was, they would see that they had a nice little gain if they were swing trading it or whatever, and they would be looking to go ahead and take their profits. Um, this something that I haven't really talked about before. If you look at this daily, let me zoom in a little bit. Um, if you look at this daily, we have this bearish candle, meaning we had a lot of selling pressure, or it's not, I wouldn't really call it pressure because um, that's not really, this wick here kind of goes against all the bears that we're trying to short here. But this shows that there was a few people trying to short here. And they are pretty much trapped at this point. So they are going this. That's another factor that plays into this. This bull move here. That they are going to, in order to save themselves or whatever, get out of the trade, they're going to have to buy their wares. They're gonna have to buy to close to exit out of that trade. Everybody who tried to go bearish here were in our trap right now. So it could continue going higher, but we have a decent amount of resistance here on the daily that we went up to that we traded up into that resistance. So we could definitely come back down and trade bearish and fill that gap today. Usually what I've seen from the futures, if we have a gap, it usually fills that gap in the same day. So I could definitely see this this candle. I can see this at the end of the day. I'm not saying this is what's gonna happen. I'm just going off of um, what I've, from the studying that I've done in my experience, um, just my prediction. I will put it that way. Just kind of is guessing. Really, it's all I'm doing because that's all I can do. Um, so don't make any trading decisions based off of what I say here. But I could definitely see this being at some point at the end of the day, this area up here being a wick, and we have some kind of bearish candle, um, maybe trading back down into the close or the high of Friday. But because typically we do not hold. It's been a while since we gapped like that, so we typically futures contracts do not hold that gap. Like here's one, so you can see we gapped up here, we opened up, and we wicked down. We came down, it traded back down, closed the gap, and then we traded back up. So it can even be a situation like that. So with the volume strength today, definitely expect a lot of volatility. Um, if you have a strategy that where you are planning to be in and out of a trade, that today should be a good day to trade. You just it just comes down to timing. So just like with Nasdaq and crude oil, we had that strong bullish move. To start off the future session, and right here into the Euro session, we um, we had a nice little strong bullish push, and now we're rolling over into some retracement. It looks like we are going to continue to head lower. How long, we don't know, of course, but you know that's a pretty good healthy retest there that got rejected. So I can see it rolling down and trading bearish. Maybe we go ahead and fill that gap, before sometime, before the close of the day session. And plus with all the bearish sentiment over, well, actually, okay, now we're okay. So even since we're coming up into a lot of heavy resistance here, I can a bearish play definitely would make sense today. Trading back down into that close, and today's candle ends up being a bearish candle with a pretty strong wick at to between the gap and the high of today. Um, all right, so let's go. Going ahead and moving over to Euro Forex, and pretty much the same analysis as gold and the rest of them. We had this, not as big of a gap up for the Euro Forex, and pretty much the same. Out the gate, we traded bullish, and now we're retracing. This is a really healthy retracement. Um, Actually, technically, we didn't gap up on the euro. Um, so this is right now is a inside candle. On the daily, we look bearish. Um, so this is I mentioned this support before. Let me go ahead and put that back in there. Zoom in a little bit. So we got some pretty good support. I put my support line right here. So we're retesting that, the area right there. If we break Friday's low, I can definitely see us trading, having a pretty strong bearish move, at least down into this area here. Might as well go ahead and mark that out as well, or even this support there. So yeah, that's a nice little. Or we can it looks like it can also be beginning to form a flag here as well, a pennant pattern. I just draw this out like this. So those two options, those I can definitely see us trading down a little bit bearish today. So this area here will be a key area to watch. Fine. I don't really use that often. Nope. All right, get my rectangle. So we'll be watching this area here to see what it does, and watching Friday's low. And yeah, I wouldn't be too aggressive if I was trading the euro today. All right, so that's my technical analysis today, or for the today's pre-market insight. Um, as usual, make sure we are all trading, making a plan, and we are sticking to that plan. We're gonna trade the plan. We're not gonna deviate outside of the plan. Um, and I hope you all go out there and crush it today. And I will see you guys later for the mid-market futures recap.